All right, we're at Orvis in Arlington, Virginia. We got Dan Davala.
How you doing?
He's gonna show us how to put a loop on the end of a fly line.
All right, so in this case, what we have for Rob today is a Rio Skagit line, and this has a pretty thin running line. We want to make a loop so we can loop it onto the backing with a bimini or whatever knot you have, so it's easy to switch lines. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of room here, so I'm going to pull some of this off, and I'm using 30-pound gel spun to make the actual trap nail knots. Principle here is the same as if you've ever looked at a crane cable. It goes through like the hook ball, whatever you call it, and doubles back on itself, and it's clamped together with a bunch of U-bolts, and that's what holds, like, 20-ton steel beams and stuff. So the same principle here. We're gonna double this over, and we're gonna trap it with, in this case, 3 nail knots, and that's more than enough. The line will break somewhere before that does. All right, so I'm gonna give myself plenty of this here. So I've got several feet of the gel spun, and what I like to do, rather than using a tool to like a nail knot tool or whatever, is I like to just take a little bit more of whatever material I happen to be using to tie it with, and I'm going to cut that off and fold it in half, and this right here is going to become my threader, basically. So this is just a loop, and it's not tied together or anything like that, and the goal is to put a loop in this, so I'm going to fold that over and lay these two guys together just like this. I like the threader, if you will, if you want to call it that, to be longer than the loop I'm going to create. And in this case now, I'm going to take the line I'm going to make my knot with, and I'm going to make basically a plus sign or a cross. Now with this one up, it's going to fall over in a sec, the bottom leg of that cross I'm going to make into an L. Alright, so basically now I have this piece, the loop, and this loop all on top of one another, and this is that upright. This upright piece is going to go around and around and around and around 8 to 10 times. I'm going to drop the end right here and pull it through, and you're going to see the result. So here we go. 1, 2. We got to keep everything oriented for the first couple of wraps, and once we're good, it's a lot easier to just keep going. There we go. And so if you can see that right there, I'm just letting these wraps stack right up one in front of the other, and I'll hold it with my free finger here each time. And this does a nice job. Rather than having a tool where I have to pull everything off of like a ramped or a sloped surface, this is a very easy way to make sure those coils stack up right in front of each other. And now I'm going to go ahead and drop this one right through my, what we're calling our threader here. Works if we give it a little bit of a tug right there, because it kind of creases that. The only trick here is to switch the grip. It's not hard to do. Grab those 2 strands and pull them through. Now that's going to pull the end that I just wound right underneath all those other coils, just like that. I'm going to pull up the slack there, pull up the slack here. I have this perfect nail knot that's formed, but it's not tight. A lot of times when you pull them off of a tool, they come down so tight that they're hard to move. In this case now, I can not waste any line because it's loose. I can pull this and size my loop whatever size I want. So I've got the tag end very short right there, and I'm going to pull that loop down now. Okay? Remember, I got to leave room for the next 2. So that's good. I'm going to put one more in front of it, one more in front of that. It's going to be about the size of a factory welded loop, and arguably just as strong, if not stronger. So this stuff's really sharp. It can cut you. I'm going to wind up quite a bit to get some traction here. You're going to see once I pull, it's going to sink right into that coating, right like that. I mean, you got to really pull pretty hard. So if it's hard for you, tie a loop knot here and a loop knot here and put some pins in there or something like that. Like a T-handle, I've been doing a lot of these, so I mean my hands can handle it, but be careful when you're tightening that down. Come right in close and pull some tension there and snip that off. Same thing right here. Okay. Now, minus the slow motion tutorial, I'm gonna whip up 2 more of these, get these out of my way here. And take that same tool that we had. Okay. Lay that loop over top of this loop. And these are the connections that we make just about every day here on lines, ours or any other manufacturers that don't have a loop in the back. So we're regularly making these loops. They go pretty quick. You get used to it. Now, in a pinch, if you're on a stream somewhere and you break off, like let's say the end of your sink tip or end of your fly line and you need to make a new loop, you know, if you got a spool of tippet 2X or stronger, you can make a threader out of that material. So that little tool that I've made here, that loop, you can make and tie the nail knot with that same material. I've done it standing knee deep in the surf. I've done it before with 0X, so it can be done pretty easily once you get used to it. It can be done just about anywhere. Sink that up. You can see that sunk right in there. Okay, and snip. Okay, we're gonna do one more. I like to do 3 on the back connection. Might as well. It's no harder to do than 2. Last one here we'll do in real time.
How many wraps do you do?
8 to 10. Stop at 8 there. It's been plenty. But again, the advantage here is that because this is the same material as this, it's the same diameter, so there's no slack, there's no slop there, no excessive. That's the hardest part about tightening a nail knot down, is getting all those loops to stay put while you pull that slack out, and really isn't any when you use the same material. Cinch that up. There we go. Okay, and snip this guy off. Okay, now before I trim the tag, I'm going to go ahead and, in this case, this is just enough to fit over a pen or so. Should. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and double check my knot strength. This expression on my face means I'm pulling really hard.
I'm opening jar of pickles.
It's going to stand up to that. It's going to stand up to anything. Snip this off. I like to snip it at a little bit of an angle. That's a perfectly smooth connection. And I promise that you do this correctly, the standing part of the running line is going to break before this connection ever will. That's a nail knotted loop and ready to go.
It's awesome.
Cheers.
Woo woo. All right, Dan. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Thomas.
Oh, we got a volcano.
Oh no.
Eruption.
Ah!